Hello and welcome back to Dad the Influencer, a podcast about travel, technology and innovation, broad enough to encompass history, art, religion and politics in ways that will stimulate the neurodivergent and amaze the neurotypical. With interviews, dialogues and the occasional monologue, we explore our humanity through travel, the technology that enables it, and the ecosystems that encourage elastic thinking and innovation. The opinions expressed in this podcast are my own and do not necessarily reflect those of any of my employers, past or present. Right, we are here with Rachael Thornton, who's going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in the exciting world of recruitment. Hello, Rachael, and welcome.
Hi, Ben. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you ended up specializing in travel technology?
Yeah, absolutely. Happily. Firstly, I have to make sure I put my right hat on and stop asking you questions and start answering them through this. So excuse me if I shift into the other side of things. But recruitment started for me 20 years ago, 20 happy years ago. And I actually started within traffic and transportation engineering, something completely different, civil engineering side of things. Always quite drawn to the more technical aspects of the people market, as it is, and worked through a number of different employers within that time, but really loved focusing within technology. When I started at a business called Levy Associates based in St Albans, many moons ago, I was moved onto a technical desk. That was in 2008, 9. Something like that, a long time ago. And within that, I managed to pick up a client by the name of Amadeus, one that we know well. And being well placed in St Albans with EasyJet and TUI and back then Monarch on our doorsteps, it was a well-located place to start working within the airline space. As soon as I started working in the field, I absolutely adored the people. The thing that has kept me in this industry for going on 16 years has been just the people are so lovely. Within those early days, I did work in a variety of different markets, insurance, banking, and other things. And not to talk ill of other markets, but nobody really works in the same way as the travel and airline space.
Cool.
So hence that.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, I'd agree as well. One of the things, I don't know if you find this, but one of the things I like about travel is that more than in other technical industries I've been in, there's lots of people who start off at a very junior level and then work their way through the whole bit, which I think is part of where that loveliness comes from, is there's a lot more people who've been kind of organizationally fluid. So they've been in a lot of roles and have a good perspective.
Absolutely. It does come with that niche knowledge, not just within technology, within all areas of the airline space. So I think that naturally breeds loyalty to the industry as well. But it's just, I'm lucky to have worked with some really excellent people. A lot of my clients I've worked with for over 10 years now. So,
Nice.
It's nice. Relationship builds.
Yes, very important, always. And from your vantage point, how healthy does the travel tech job market feel or look to you right now?
Well, it's been a wild ride over the last, we'll summarise and say 15 years. It's been, there's been huge amounts of disruption and innovation, which brings change, which is good. Innovation normally comes after disruption, so that's always quite good. The market feels buoyant, I would say. It feels carefully buoyant, though. Not the just get as many people in as possible that was post-COVID. It was a little bit slapdash at that point. At the moment, it feels like budget is being carefully spent across the board. If people are growing from a vendor point of view with PE backing, they are doing it carefully and very strategically, normally starting with go-to-market and then once the products are built of course, but normally starting within that go-to-market space and then carefully building, as opposed to before it was just like hire everybody and we'll see how it fits. it does seem careful. There's a lot of new technology hitting the market, which is being touted to replace people. I'm not so sure. I think it's just that people need to adapt their skills to fit what is required, but we can go on to that a bit later. But it feels good. It feels good, and people feel good. Maybe it's that spring is springing, but people feel a little bit brighter, which is nice.
So as long as nothing happens like war in the Middle East or skyrocketing petrol prices.
Yeah, I know. It feels a bit of a weird day to be like super happy with an absolute something awful has happened over the weekend, and news is looming. I've got the Radio 4 in the background, and I keep kind of scooting into every hour update just to see what's
happening.
What's happening? Yeah, absolutely. But just wishing everybody, all of our friends and colleagues, safety over there, and
yes, very much.
Things to be concluded as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and I think as an industry, I think we've weathered so much recently. I think hopefully.
Yeah, we do. I think we were just talking about this, weren't we? But the resilience within our industry has triple folded. I think.
Yes.
We took a huge hit 2019 onwards, and I say we because I do feel like an inaugural member of the team. But we've weathered a lot. It feels resilient. Let's just make sure that we can keep flying and getting people where they need to be.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I think what you were saying about the cautious approach that people have been taking is probably going to really help, because it's people who have plans, they've thought those through. It's not I mean, I know in other areas of the tech sector you're seeing massive layoffs, especially in the big I keep calling them FANG companies, but they're not. Big Seven, I think they're called now. But yeah, so there's these massive layoffs happening, but a lot of those are still based on the massive hirings that happened during COVID and all that. So
I was going to say, you've got to be really careful, as with all news, to understand the source and understand where those people were sat. There is a tiny bit of sales, but a lot of it is in build. It's huge amounts in build, which may mean those businesses are consolidating and working on what they've got, like really doubling down on what they've got, rather than innovate any further. Or it just might mean that they are dabbling with some new technology that's working, and I'll discuss what future roles might look like, but perhaps moving away from that hands-on build space might be a good idea.
Which does actually delve neatly into the whole, everyone's talking about AI, agentic AI. You've had Microsoft, I'll never remember these people's names when I need to, but saying that there's going to be no more white collar jobs in a few years. But you're also seeing there's interesting trends that are happening, particularly in Silicon Valley, where there was a dip where it was like, oh, we don't need software engineers. And then that's dipping back up because people are saying, actually, in a land where software engineers could suddenly do 100 times what they were able to do before, actually what we need is more software engineers to get more value. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that happens. And I think at the moment it's very unpredictable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all of these things, it can be really scary and intimidating if you're on the job market, or just dabbling with the job market, or scared of change, internal change. I think most companies with good reputations are keeping everybody as well informed as possible on plans or changes to plans. As far as hands-on engineering, perhaps just focusing a little bit more on the skill set around people management, as in, that code is still going to come out of a system at some point and need to be tested and need to be checked to make sure that it fits purpose. So analysis is even more important to make sure that it does what it says that it's being asked to do.
Yeah.
And also testing it on the other side of things is even more important, and fixing it
So
if
it's
it isn't quite right.
so good times for software testers, good times
Yeah,
for business analysts.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if engineers would like to skill out, those are two areas that if you suddenly, I know it's a full-time job doing code anyway, but you know, those are two business areas that are going to be crying out for skilled people that understand what they're looking at when code is put in front of you,
Yeah.
even more so.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, DevOps, well, what was once DevOps sometimes is
Mm,
infrastructure, sometimes is operations, depends on what bingo cards you're looking at any
yeah,
given time. But it seems that all of those, which have become a lot more codey than they once were, like it once was a lot more about actually plugging in cables into boxes, and now is a lot more running infrastructure as code and that type of thing. But those seem to be growing massively.
hugely.
And I assume that they will as well, because somebody's got to actually make
Yeah.
all this AI work.
And the security aspects of that, you know,
Yes.
if we're suddenly launching things into, or you know, you're building your super amazing product that you kind of want to keep, you know, barriers to it, of course, because you want to make sure that nobody else is sneaking in and having a look at it. Then you gotta build that physical safety, but also the cybersec side of things is super important.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be growth areas, but just I would be concerned about being a pure coder in 10 years.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
It's also where I'm assuming, or maybe just hoping that having the industry knowledge.
Yeah,
I mean, really, of whatever industry you're in, but particularly with travel, where that really helps, because in a land where AI can do a lot, if you understand a bit about SecOps, a little bit about testing, and a lot about the industry and a lot about code, you're probably well positioned. Particularly now that product management seems to be moving further away from business analyst and pushing out requirement docs, which you can now generate with sort of woolly briefs, and more being able to generate the right woolly briefs to generate the, or to think of the right woolly briefs to get the AI to generate.
absolutely. It's less about wording, and more about asking the right questions. I mean, that's the basis of AI anyway. Is building those requests, right? So hence business analysts are so good at this, because
Yes.
analyzing what needs to be broken down and then putting it into the right words is great, but it's just not having to put in, you know, not having to produce those reports is huge. But again, reading it, testing it, making sure that it always not relying on it,
Yes. Yeah.
about the right stuff. Um, but yeah, it's you know, it's just change of detail and focus
Yeah.
slightly.
So a lot more important to read the report that you generate
Yes.
now than write the report. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But sorry, you're right. Sorry, my brain
Yeah.
has these minutes. Product ownership, product management are becoming SMEs in our space,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and that isn't product specific. You know, that can be Amadeus, it can be Sabre, hopefully. It can be whichever business that you're working with. It
Yeah.
isn't specific to that. It's more around um, the operational aspects of what we're doing. That's why people stay within our industry, because somebody that understands the internal workings of an airline, whether it be a res system or a ticketing or revenue management, or you know, even to the MRO side of things,
Yeah.
being able to understand that whole system, the basis of it, and then build that technology into it is kind of, it's not unteachable. Of course, it's teachable, but you know, we want to get people up and running as quickly as possible, and for them to be effective as quickly as possible. Coming from that industry is always going to be more attractive
So
as an
if
employer.
so if you're a travel tech guru without portfolio, looking for your next
Mm.
thing, what do you look for? What do you...
You need to be talking to me, first
Yeah.
of all. What do I look for? I look for, first and foremost, amazing communication skills. So, and I do try and tend to fit environments. So there's some environments that will suit a person that is complete. How they talk about tech is technically first, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they are talking in a way that if they spoke to anybody Joe Blogs on the street, they wouldn't be able to understand what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And there's some environments, normally the larger ones, that can and can work in that. Then if I'm talking to somebody that's much broader in their communication style, normally comes not a jack of all trades, but somebody that has an experience in a wider viewpoint, they will be much better suited to a smaller environment.
Okay.
Somebody that might be asked to do something out of the ordinary sometimes, because that's what comes with growth businesses.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the individual. And I would say don't be scared of what AI is doing to the market. It is hard to get callbacks at the moment, but not because of AI, I would stress. It's hard to get callbacks at the moment because the roles are being carefully segmented. If you are applying for the roles on LinkedIn, you are following them up with connection requests to the relevant people that have posted those roles to try and get a conversation, although those people are incredibly busy.
Yeah.
So don't be disheartened if you don't hear back, but they are coming back to the people that are right for them. It's not in their interest not to. So, things are taking a little bit longer, but just, keep your chin up with it all, because it does take a little bit longer than it did before.
Okay, that makes sense. And I think with any job search, it's always you want to start a year earlier, if not 20 years earlier, with networking and and I always tell people, I actually have this with my kids at the moment, because I keep telling them it's important to network, but it's like networking isn't going around saying, hey, do you have a job?
Yeah.
It's going around getting to know people, talking to people. As much it's helping other people and letting them help you, and then you build up that relationship.
That's it.
Because if it's just like, oh, I'm trying to get to know you because I think you can do something, that's not help. If it's too transactional, I think people see through that. But if you, just get to know.
Totally. I mean, it's the same old thing. Good people know good people. Your world naturally will get bigger the more that you move through your career. It's important. LinkedIn is not only a tool for finding a role, but it's also a bit of a black book. If you've connected with someone when you're 25 and now you're 45, I have reached out to people that I haven't spoken to for 10, 15 years and been and just asked for a coffee or a catch up. There's a reason what you did get on with those people in the first place for a reason. People are always very open to helping. Don't feel ashamed or shy about asking. They would, as long as you treat others how you would want to be treated yourself in whatever world that you're working at, that you're moving in. That's the main thing, I think. Those people would also come round to you and ask you for help if and when, and swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Very, very good advice. If anyone who's listening to this wants to go back and listen to the Redundancy, a Blessing in Disguise podcast, talk about this a lot, and about this sort of idea of networking in LinkedIn and keeping in contact. So worth listening to. It is 3 hours of me and two other guys prattling on about our experience of being made redundant many years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. But that's just throw a little plug in for past episodes there.
And it can be really scary in that time, and that's great, Ben, that you're putting like real stories out there, because it can feel very isolating to be in that position and scary.
Yes.
But it does happen, of course, in this modern world more than people care for. And it can literally be just a change of direction of business decision, it's always nothing to do with personal performance,
No.
but just making sure that you're making the right decisions for the next role.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people that have worked with smaller businesses that then would never work for a small business again. Redundancy happens in loads of different sizes of business. So
Yes. Yeah.
unfortunately, it's not just the small or large side of things, but it's great that there's that resource online that Ben's made
Yeah.
to go back and listen to and just feel a little bit less alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, it is. It's terrible, but you have to plan for it.
Yeah.
So, other things to plan for: OOSD, offer,
Yeah.
order, settle, deliver, or offer, order, deliver, settle has been muted as a better arrangement of those. Lots of talk about it at all the conferences. Very few people actually doing it in anger. What's your view on it now?
I'm hearing rumbles that lots are going to change this year, so that's exciting. What's my view on it? It is, I'm very much in the supplier space, so I'm speaking to people all the time about it. I had conversations with a couple of them, the more advisory, the advisors to industry this morning, who are really excited about Q3 and 4 this year, about some big announcements coming. They're all kind of starting to have conversations at the moment, so hopefully within 6 to 12 months they will start coming to fruition. It's exciting times. Airlines are large environments that take a lot of convincing to enhance change or embrace change, I should say. You know well.
Yeah.
So it just is taking time. I think a lot of the players are seeing how the guys that have committed to it are panning out. It's all over my profile, but I was lucky enough to work with Virgin Australia, assisting some of them find their first team, which is going incredibly well. So we're in the middle of a shift of industry. There's a lot of scaremongering around always wanting to be the first, but it will happen just slowly, and it's a great skill set to be in. It's also a varied and wide skill set to be in. So, and it's you can use skills from the NDC world, from the revenue management world that we have at the moment, and
yes, very transferable.
Right? So those are the main spaces that I pull people from. Because those skills are completely transferable into the OOSD world.
So, which is, and the question I have with that is, people say they want strong OOSD skills. I admit that I got my current job on the basis of we need someone who not so much as knows OOSD as someone who can pick it up right away. But how do you position that as either when you're selling somebody to a travel tech organization, or any advice for people that are looking? Because there's a handful of people with very strong OOSD skills, most of which probably have jobs. So how do you do that where they're asking for the skills that nobody has, but you can learn it? Or
do you mean headhunt?
Yeah. Well, headhunt and find the right people.
Yeah. So the environments that I'm looking in are specific to what is requested, right? So offer and order tend to be bundled into one, although you have experience in one. Normally, if you've worked in it for a long enough time, you've worked in it for both. There's been rumblings of OOSD for a little while. Obviously, the T2OL conference shouted about it a couple of years ago, and then it's been building out since then. Similarly, from a skill set point of view, I work really closely with my clients to understand what their current teams are like and what kind of personalities are within that team. Then I'm looking at making sure that I'm mirroring that kind of size of environment. And then I'm looking at personality and skills fit. So normally I'm looking at, I'm trying not to be too specific, but I'm looking at the NDC world. I'm looking at PSS if it's a little bit older. If I'm looking for settled stuff, I'm looking at revenue. I'm trying to find that base knowledge of the points within the change program that particular person is hiring someone from. It's very rarely BAU that
Yeah.
we're hiring somebody for. It's going to be mass change or investigation of change. Then I'm looking at
So like innovation, digital transformation,
yeah,
that kind of background.
yeah. And product ownership, there is that skill set shift from business analyst to product owner. I'm looking at a technical business analyst that can really get to grips with the base of things. I'm looking at somebody that's got really good investigative skills, that their communication is on fire, but in a kind way.
Yes.
Like in that kind of analysis report writing, it can be there's just a huge range of skill set within that.
Yeah.
And it normally depends where they come from, whether they've been a systems analyst or whether even they've been a software engineer background and got into the more analysis side of things. That is different. So yeah, but then I'm also looking to match whether I'm working for a vendor or an airline. There is shift between the two, and I am pulling from airlines and pulling into vendors. It's rarer to come from vendor into airline, but the vendors are very, very much more, very, very open to looking at airline background because they want to know how their clients work.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, so it's a bit of a complex answer there, Ben. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And where do you think candidates mostly fall short?
Right. Yeah. Where do they fall short? Specific. So it's actually not being specific. It is. Sorry. Candidates fall short sometimes if they are too specific and not open to learning new things. If they are constantly trying to, rather than being innovative or thinking innovatively about fitting a puzzle piece together, going, well, this is how I did it here and that should work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In interview, especially, there's a lot of closed circuit thinking, not being, thinking that they've got the answer, as opposed to asking questions first and then answering.
That makes sense. So it's good to avoid this is how Amadeus do it. So this is the only way that it can be done.
Exactly. Asking a few further questions, understanding if you're asked a question, it's always fine to ask some more qualifying questions.
Yeah.
And then, you can put a broader answer down rather than going, well, this is what we did here and it should work.
Yeah. And
because it probably won't.
So how important is real world domain knowledge, like your GDSs, your PSSs, or your offer order, how the workflows work? Is that all really, really important still?
In a market that was going great guns after COVID, no. Mm-hmm. In this market, which is obviously what you're asking, it is because there's fewer roles on the market, so the people that are hiring for them are much more comfortable with finding a direct fit than doing a horizontal move.
Okay.
So it's just about finding that role that is going to be comfortable. And also, when people are moving, they're flying quickly. It's happened a number of times recently. I wouldn't not consider roles that are not giving you a 10 or 15k uplift at the moment. Horizontal moves are becoming much more common.
Okay.
But then once you're a trusted entity, then they're flying.
Okay, that makes sense. Especially if you're working in OOSD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There will be in 12 to 24 months of booming consultancy services for this skill, right? So it will be an increase of, the more project-based implementation teams.
Yeah.
that are happening. But at the moment, it's still at the infancy stage.
So the conundrum is, for very reasonable, understandable reasons, you need to have the deep domain knowledge, but not rely on it so much that you come across as oh yeah, I know how to do this, and there's no other way of doing this.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's really tricky, and also, how do you get experience in an industry that is quite hard to get into, but they want you to put on an expert hat? I don't think it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the hiring is happening through obviously a base skill set. We need to cover off that you can do the role, but also just have it like being an engaging candidate, doing research in who you're talking to. So understanding where they've come from and the business as a whole and the individual, understanding who that person is. And also, 9 times out of 10, there is a common interest there between the two of you. So having some rapport with that always helps as well.
Okay. And where do you see the biggest mismatch between what companies want and what candidates think that they should offer?
That's such an interesting question. Not understanding the trajectory the business is on, and not answering and not building into that. So pitching yourself as niche when they're looking for somebody that can help them do analysis of a broad range of areas, not asking enough questions to know where they're going.
Okay, so this is the company's not asking the candidates, or the candidates aren't asking the company, or both?
I mean, either way, really. I mean, when I'm speaking to my clients, I'm always advising them to that's one of the first questions I'm asking is, where are you going in the next 2 years? Who do you want in your team? Either you're looking for really niche set blocks of people who are coming in, doing that role and leaving, or we're like building into something bigger, or the other way. It can very regularly be the other way. So it's just about matching where that person wants to be. Otherwise, both parties are going to be frustrated.
That makes sense. Which is the other sort of catch-22, is, if you will, is you want to interview the company a bit as a candidate because you want to get to know, but then you want to be careful about doing it too aggressively. So
asking questions is always really great because it's always a 50-50 split here with candidate and client engagement. I do have to regularly remind my clients that they are being interviewed as well. You don't want to be sat with, we're spending huge amounts of our working week or our week working. So you want to make sure you're doing that in a company that you feel is going the right way, and not just the right way, but is going the place that you want it to go. Like you're all on a journey together. And make sure you're working with people that you enjoy being around and learn from.
I mean, goes back to what we said right at the beginning, is the joy of the travel industry is the people, and part of the joy I find of the people is that everyone I know in the travel industry, whatever it is, they're up for it.
Yeah.
So I had it's actually my my direct super line manager was in town. And I thought, I know what will be fun. I'll take him clay pigeon shooting. He was up from Colombia. He thought, that would be really fun. He hadn't heard of clay pigeon shooting before.
It's quite
he thought we were actually going to shoot pigeons.
Oh, bless.
And it's not really something that he would normally do. It's not part of his personality. But what I love is that he was willing to try it anyways, because somebody's invited you. They said, let's go do this. And, he said the relief when he found out that it was clay discs and not real pigeons. He said, I was talking to my cousin about how I was just shoot away from the birds. And, but it's that kind of attitude that makes it so lovely, which is why, it's so important to make sure the people you're working with, they are the fun travel.
Exactly.
Let's go somewhere and do something, and who cares what it is? It's a new experience, kind of.
And if you are a this is the thing that you need to share with your good recruiter. If you are a peace activist, you don't want to be sat in a room of hunters,
No,
right?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it goes both ways. Yeah.
those nuanced needs for every human are important.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
need to make sure that all areas are covered.
That you find the right person. And similarly, I guess it's the same thing. If you're a very broad, wide spectrum type of person, you don't
Mm,
necessarily want to get a job in a massive organization where you're expected to be
that's
the person that knows how to sequence e-tickets and absolutely nothing else. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And to keep yourself interested in everything,
Yeah.
constantly
Yeah.
evolving, constantly learning, and that's why I just mentioned being around people that you are going to learn from.
Yes.
So being the first OOSD into a startup environment can be very challenging, but
Yeah.
making sure um, that things are always evolving and the company's going in the direction that you want it to be is also very important.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, and I think we've touched on this a bit broadly, but specifically for OOSD roles that you're seeing, do you think
Mm.
employers are being realistic when it comes to things like seniority, about salary, about remote work, all these things? Or do you think there's still a lot of, no, we want someone on not a lot of money to actually show up to this office 5 days a week?
Um, this isn't just restricted to airlines, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, it is an evolving thing. Um, a lot of clients, and I say that because I'm a member of like an independent recruitment network and I hear about lots of different markets that are happening. A lot of businesses are pulling people back into the office, but there is flexibility that we didn't have ever 5 years ago that is
Yeah.
there now. So mostly it's the average seems to be 3 days in a week are in person, because of and that is that does change from role within companies. So
Yeah.
sales guys are out seeing clients all the time, so that would be different. But when they are local, it is good to be together because it's just more. It is proven time and time again that it's more effective. A lot of
Yeah.
people made some rather large career moves or physical moves during COVID or in the run down from that time, which means they're now living in Devon or
Yeah.
they're out of Hebrides, which now makes things rather challenging.
Yeah.
It's a personal choice, right?
Yeah.
If you are a particularly driven career person, then you're probably going to live near a hiring hub or within a commutable distance to
Yes.
it. Um, there are opportunities out there that are remote, but they're becoming few and far between.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
because companies want to look after their people and they want to build communities within their employees,
Yeah.
so everybody's on the loyalty train as well.
Yeah.
Salaries are coming up. Salaries are improving. Everybody will be pleased to hear.
Well,
Yeah,
except
absolutely.
for the people that are running.
Yeah, yes. It's tricky, isn't it? We're in an industry that, in comparison to insurance and banking, even gaming a little bit, which are other industries that I hear a little bit about externally to ours. Um, those guys are they pay very well.
Yeah. Their margins are very well.
Yeah,
Airlines' margins are shocking.
yeah,
Software makes more money than the airlines do, but
yes,
still have shockingly low overall margins for the
absolutely.
software industry and travel tech. Yeah.
Some of this technology that we are trying to implement will change that.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. And in time, it will get better.
Yeah.
But
And do you think
we're
that's OOSD that's going to change that, or AI, or something else, or do you think it's just
a
going to change?
combination of both.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't do technology to make things more expensive in the long term.
Yeah.
We're trying to make things slimline, either from a customer experience point of view or from a revenue management point of view. That will bring savings, even though it's a huge outlay at the moment.
Yeah.
So things are tight. in 10 years' time, I'm hoping the industry as a whole will be a little bit better at keeping up with. It's not bad. We're not, sad to say, we're not in like public sector nursing territory, which is like
Yeah.
so awful that is even a thing, because
Yeah.
they literally keep the world running. But you know, we're not in banking side of things.
Yeah.
But there are good bonuses attached, which I've been in a lot of meetings with companies in other markets that don't have that.
Yeah.
So and also the people are nice, and
The
if
people
you're
and the
yeah,
travel. I mean, the
and
travel is a massive thing. I know I've had a
it
few
is.
moments of, sitting in Krakow with realizing that everyone at the table is from a different country, and
That's
thinking,
cool, right?
this is really cool. Like,
It is
this is,
cool. And you hear stories, and the fundamental part of it is that you are helping people move around the world, whether they're keeping their businesses running or seeing their family.
yeah,
That is a really cool thing to be able to do, and something 50 years ago was like the elite of the elite. The whole
yeah,
industry has changed, so it's exciting. I think it's a really cool thing to be
yeah.
doing.
I think, yeah, no, I think I completely agree.
Good.
Now, obviously, no conversation would be complete without going more about AI, because it's all AI now.
Sure.
Um, do you think it's already changing the kind of roles that people are hiring for in travel
Yeah.
tech? Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. Um, Not because any particular company has a written plan for AI yet, and it's constantly evolving. I mean, where do you draw the line and go, okay, those are the only products we're going to consider now?
Mm.
New stuff's coming out all the time, which makes the CIO's job completely nightmare at the moment. I think it's just real.
Yeah.
It's just a complete nightmare. But it is. I mean, we touched on it earlier with the development side of things. It's changing the skills that people are looking for. Communication is key.
Mm.
Being able to be open-minded is key. Open to suggestion, not being a computer says no type individual.
Yeah.
Having an open job spec mindset is important, because it may very well be different in 12 months, and not being I wasn't hired to do that type individual, that's going to be very
That's going
challenging
to be
to
the thing.
manage.
And the companies, I guess, are recognizing that.
Yeah.
A lot of the ones that are going to make it through this.
Yes, exactly.
The
And there will be huge successes. And as we've seen, I don't know, at the beginning of last week or the week before, but there are going to be hits in the industry. Saber's a household name to us. It was really shocking to hear that happen. And if anybody needs to reach out, please do. But it's an evolution thing. It's an evolutionary thing.
Yeah, it is, and it goes back to that. You kind of have to plan for redundancy.
Yeah.
But also you just don't know what you're going to be hit with, and from where.
And those people have excellent skills, right?
Yes.
So, and I know that everybody. I've spoken to a few of the leaders of competitors last week, and it sounds like people are being very active and reaching out, and there should be space. So,
yeah, and everyone kind of knowing each other helps.
Yeah.
Because it's
exactly. It can be a bit tricky from my point of view sometimes with that, because everybody does know each other, but
Yeah. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
I know them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Normally, they were like, "Oh, we worked with each other 2 weeks ago, 2 roles ago," and I'll just give them a call, and I'm like, "Well, I'll set it up for you."
Yeah. But yeah, so do you think that specifically with AI, and this, you may not be able to answer this, I don't know, but with OOSD particularly, do you think it might be that people say, well, actually, do you know what? You don't quite need the OOSD experience so much that people get confident that actually, throw all the all the IATA documentation into a bot, and I can find out what I need about offer order without necessarily. Do you think people are recognizing that as a potential, or do you think they still need?
I think you could say that about any industry with anything. I think you could but it's untested, unqualified, and it's a hell of a risk putting something that isn't product owned into your environment. So it's really tricky. You don't have I think it's the same with insurance of anything. You would rather have somebody that's something that's proven and tested, especially in an airline environment where everything is safety first. You'd rather work with a Nevio product as opposed to a little bit winging it
Yeah.
in an open AI sense. Um, yes, I mean, it will change how things are done. I think as people get more confident in it, it will change, as you said earlier, like with documentation and maybe quick answers on governance and things like that.
Yeah.
But on a larger scale, system security, safety, all of that side of things is going to be very much vendor based.
Yeah. And I suppose the whole industry is predicated on risk aversion
Yes,
and
exactly.
on mitigating risk. So, I mean, a lot of people listening to this will probably remember what happened with Air Canada and their chatbot experiment and lawsuits and all that type of stuff. And yeah, there's everyone knows that that's possible.
Yes,
So
exactly. So, I mean, the industry itself is safety conscious and risk aware. So that will always come to the basis of any conscious decisions that they're making.
yeah,
So going with, and that is also unfortunately why, even though this new OOSD space is modular, a lot of the same names are coming up. You know,
yes,
there's RFPs going everywhere.
yeah.
It's kind of it's becoming quite obvious that change is rare. So
Completely, yes, and you can read the RFPs and you can guess who consulted them on what the RFP should ask.
yes, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. So the same names are happening, and Flyer are coming as well. There's lots of different things that are happening. So
yeah,
I hope to see more of those names coming up as well.
yeah, and I guess that'll be the big one. I mean, especially with Sabre and with their announcements, and I mean, I think their issues over the years have been well known. There does seem to be a number 2 spot that's opened, and it will be interesting to see who's able to get into that.
Absolutely.
And that could be massive. And yeah, if Flyer get a second big one in, that could be transformative.
Absolutely. I really
But
wish
so
for
could
that.
a number of other. I think there's a lot of people out there who are eyeing up that spot.
Absolutely, and it's ripe for the taking.
Who was it that
I mean,
got the
there's
£1 billion?
pardon me,
Who is it that got bought for £1 billion earlier this year?
billion.
Or $1 billion? Sorry. Was it Pros? I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was Pros, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, they're doing some great stuff as well.
and that's not pure just offer order obviously or even airline, but that's valuations like that make you think that there's big spots to be had.
There really are. There
If
really
someone's
are, and I'm
ambitious.
excited to see some of those names popping up in that place. And there's not just one spot.
Yeah.
That's the wonderful world that this is in. Although we are very much focused on that offer order side of things at the moment, because naturally that's where people are starting at,
Yeah.
and we're not quite at the other end of it. Some are, but not quite at the other end of it. There'll be more, more of the settled guys coming in.
Yeah.
As well. They'll be really I mean, that is a really interesting area. That's where you save the money. So
Yeah.
let's see.
And you look at the swing from direct to indirect sales
Yeah,
over the last 15, 20 years, and it's been absolutely massive. So
huge.
it'll probably be a swing like that, won't it?
Absolutely. And companies like Kite and Alice is doing some amazing work there on the distribution side of things. There's lots of really exciting stuff happening.
Yeah.
And hopefully, I mean, from a hiring perspective, that will be booming as far as wanting people from airlines that understand that process side of things to help build some new exciting products.
So, if you were talking to someone who was working in travel tech, maybe as an architect or a software engineer or product management or something like that, what would you say they should be doing now to stay relevant in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. It's a really interesting question, and it's really reliant on where you are and what kind of company you're within. I think making friends with your management is really important in any environment,
Yeah.
but spending some days doing something that you're not is always really good. Being at the table in meetings that you are not normally at, really important. Building out understanding yourself and understanding what you're good at. The coding part of it is always really going to be important, and coders traditionally fall into two, or software engineers, and I think architects are a different beast, but
Yeah.
software engineers are either quite personable and engaging, or really really love the code side of things.
Yeah.
So moving maybe a little bit, understanding which camp you're in. Maybe the more technically orientated, maybe having a look at data engineering, data analysis, something like that. Test, widening that skill set over and above core software engineering
Yeah.
is really important. You can hopefully your current employers will want you to do that as well,
Yeah.
and support that in any retraining. But hands-on experience will always trump anything else. If you are more of the personable side, software development management, which could that now in the future embrace more test side of things,
Yeah.
would be excellent to do. And just making sure you're broadening your skill set into perhaps that more understanding
Managerial.
requirements, and really making sure that you are learning what AI is going to be requiring to be put into it to
Yeah.
to release that code at the end, and then handhold that checking process and fixing.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. So if you're
broaden it out.
if you're an engineer, what I've heard sometimes called, if you want to go 10x engineer rather than down the managerial path, it's broadening that skill set, doubling down on the tech, which makes a lot of sense because I think AI is actually going to be a great enabler to do a lot more faster, quicker.
It will.
Especially if you are very much of that engineering mindset, or if you're more of a managerial side, get at the table, understand what the value is in what you're doing, in the sense of what's bringing value to the table, and what is it that people want and that will create that value, which is kind of at the core of product management.
Absolutely.
And everything adjacent to that.
Yeah. It's going to weed out candidates that are a bit more coasting in their mindset.
Yes.
You know, it will very much make sure everybody is performing at the best of their ability.
Yeah. Yes, there's people. I have a good friend from IT school who learned software called Power Builder, and he got a job working for a local government because all he wanted to do was have a job that he could coast at. That was his, like, right from his first day of IT school, that's his thing. He's still there. He is now the only person who knows this, and is now at the bit where it's like he's recognized that pretty soon AI is going to be able to do all that.
It's tricky,
but he says, fortunately, he's also a very good financial planner, so he's not that far off of retirement.
I was going to say,
so he won.
He's earning a fortune because he's the only person that doesn't.
Yes, but I think those types of IT roles are a massive threat. I think if you're like someone who really knows COBOL and you've been relying on, they'll always need someone who can do COBOL. It's like, careful.
Yeah, it's really tricky. I did a project years ago for Nationwide Building Society, and I found them a DB2 DBA, and this was 15 years ago now. I think they're still there. So it's like, there are some technologies that they will just keep for a safety point of view.
Yes.
But a lot of that kind of new, and that will be a BAU role. And some people are really happy in that environment, and they do outside of work
but they'll be using AI to do it. Like, that's the thing is, you could get a 20-year-old who learns how to use AI to maintain legacy code, and
Absolutely.
that might be a 50 years later, you're still the person who knows how to use AI.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Or it could be all telepathic by then. We don't know.
That's well, which is actually coming up to the last questions here. But one of the ones I had, if we recorded this episode again in 5 years, what do you think would surprise us most about the job market?
I'm pleased you said job market then, because it could be, the day after the weekend of crazy. Who knows where we'll be in 5 years' time after this weekend. So I think that's a really interesting question and a real thinker, and I wish I had prepared one. I think how you get jobs is going to change, as in we are so reliant on LinkedIn at the moment, and I think it will be much more targeted. There is in-person networking is super important now, and people need people more than ever. Then there's an area there that needs fixing because it's broken at the moment. And I think companies will be a little bit more streamlined, and hopefully that means margins will increase. But I think it's just going to be really exciting times. Hopefully, just the world is a little bit calmer, and travel is used for the right reasons.
Yes, and recruitment. I mean, it's interesting though, because I think everyone's long recognized that recruitment's broken. CVs is a terrible way of choosing people. Interviews are very limited effective, whether you have 1 or 100 of them. Technical exams, and there's a recruiter locally I was talking to, is actually I've got a clip of her on that episode I did, just came out this weekend, but she was saying that what she's finding with engineers is everyone's saying we want AI, and then what they want to do is they want to make sure that the engineers come in with blinders on to make sure that when they do their tests they're not doing AI. And it's like, well, do you want people who can use AI, or do you want people who've memorized functions?
That's a really good point. I hope that companies do what they say they're going to do and not handcuff and just stick with the same old. And I think, and this actually goes back into the working from home versus remote working. And I love working remotely so much that I don't want to admit how long ago it was, more than 20 years ago, my wife and I started a business so we could live in North Devon and raise goats. I mean, that was our commitment to working home, as we thought, because that was the only option then to do it. But having seen it before COVID, I've seen it especially during and after COVID, the real bit that hurts is junior developers, junior talent. It's really hard to actually train people up and to enculturate them on the right mindsets, the right everything to succeed when they're sitting in a student flat, trying to get everyone to keep the music down so that they can do a bit of coding, and there's no one there to sort of say, oh yeah, don't mind him, he's an idiot, or oh no, you don't want to do it that way, you want to do it this way, or just suddenly a quick what do you think about this is a Teams meeting. It's like we can't do that till tomorrow, rather than just being like, over a cup of tea, oh mate, I'm really struggling with this, can you help me? That's the benefit of being in an office.
Exactly. And it's
hiring will come back,
and the people who do best on remote are people who are basically mid to senior career, who are the people who really know what they're doing, so they don't need to be the office, and they're the people that need to teach the next generation.
And I was going to say, who are these guys in the office going to ask?
They are absolutely the people that need to be there and don't want to be, myself included.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody wants to learn from you, Ben. Come on. You gotta pay it back.
Exactly. Well, do you know what as well? I mean, in fairness, over the course of my career, there's so much that I owe from having really good mentors.
It's the number one thing I talk about on my podcast.
As well as being a mentor. I mean, you actually learn more from being a mentor, but you learn that later.
About yourself. About what you're good at and what you're not good at.
But it's I just think you do need to give it back for your own growth, but also because it has to perpetuate itself. So.
Absolutely right. And I just wrote article about that, about helping youth grow, and a little bit about on diversity as well. So that's a good read on LinkedIn if you'd like.
Yeah, no, that would be very good. Actually, I'll link to that in the because I've got a place when I put these out to put an article in. So yeah, that could be quite good.
Great.
So I will add that in. This would be good for the sort of the closing question is, what advice would you give to someone who's trying to break into travel tech today? Either someone who's right out of school, or somebody who's been working for an airline and doing some of this stuff, or just a software engineer that says, well, you say people are really nice, I'd like to work with nice people
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. So there's transferable skills in any market. I mean, I headhunt from retail, gaming, gambling markets, because the latency of the reservation systems are really similar. Some of the banking systems are similar. I think being open and tenacious, that counts for a lot.
Yeah.
As I say, like the way I'm hiring at the moment is like 50% personality and mindset. Working with good recruiters helps.
Yeah.
I think just making sure that somebody's going to advocate for you. If you can find an advocate within the industry, that 9 times out of 10
makes the difference.
will work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just need to. It's all about networking, and you're going to help someone that you can see real passion from. So, changing market at any time can bring its trickiness, but I think as long as you can find some advocacy from somewhere, that would be great.
You can get your way in. Excellent. Yeah. All right, thank you very much. It's been a very interesting conversation.
Good. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
See if anyone else does. At the very least, my mom always listens to these, so she'll find it interesting.
My dad the same.
All right.
Well, say hi to Ben's mum, and we'll catch up soon then. Thank you for having me.
Soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Dad the Influencer, talking about travel, technology, and innovation. Please subscribe to my podcast so you don't miss new episodes. And if you'd like to talk about something on this podcast related to travel, technology, or innovation, please write me at dad@dadtheinfluencer.com or leave a comment. The opinions expressed this podcast are my own and my guests and do not reflect those of our employers, past or present.